I've got someone with me and she's not very happy with us. Why is that?
Well, I'm going to be called Linda now, aren't I?
It's not Linda. It's not Dawn. I saw a yawn and I don't know what's going on. This is Beth. And I absolutely love, I was saying just before you come on, I've got so much time for your passion for change. And I'm addicted to your energy towards your efforts.
I'm glad someone is.
For now, anyway. Let's see how we go on, eh?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Could you introduce yourself and the many hats of which you wear?
Right. Okay. So I have. So my legal name is Claire Mascarenhas, and my alias, I suppose, is Beth Carlsson. So on Facebook, I'm called Beth Carlsson. The reason for that is I've come from a domestic abuse background, and it is what it is. That's it. It was coercive control for 16 years. I got out of there. Took me a long time, but I've changed my way of thinking, different perspective, and I've survived that. And going through that, I got involved with the education system. So I won't bore you too much about the education system, but it's a real passion. So I work with a charity called Red Balloon of the Air, who they're a blended provision that provide online and face-to-face education for young people who cannot attend mainstream schools purely because their anxiety is so severe, or their mental health and or there's mental illness, or there's bullying, and the trauma is that much that many of them have not left their bedrooms for months or even years. Some of them, they stop eating, they become suicidal. And so we are the last resort, basically, for education for these kids. They come to us, we look after them, and we look after their families. And we have a link mentor go out to them every day. If the link mentor needs to sit on the stairs, just have one word. That's all they do. That's all we do. The only thing we ask for is a willingness for them to learn. And that's it. The rest comes in time. Mental health comes before education. And that's it. They can take 3 qualifications, 3 GCSEs if they want. If they come out with one, doesn't matter. They've done it. Doesn't matter whether they pass it or not. They've sat their exam, and that is a pass for us. That's all that matters. And then we will do a very, very slow transition onto wherever they want to go, whether they want to go into university, college, apprenticeship, sometimes even stay with us.
Start their own business,
Basically, yeah, which... Fingers crossed, we might have something in the pipeline.
Yeah,
we will have something in the
100%.
pipeline. But so that's the one with Red Balloon of the Air. I'm then with Pride in St Neots as well.
Yeah, of course.
So they're supporting the LGBTQ plus IA community of St Neots. Passion came from that, from a very close family member of the community. So that led into more stuff with education and how kids of the community, how they're treated at school, how the system treats them at school, what different things we can do to support them. I'm not as clued up, I'll be honest, on LGBTQIA rights as I should be, but I'm community engagement there. And I learned quickly, I'll go out and I will...
You open doors?
Yeah, I will open doors. I will get people involved.
Which you've done.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
So, I mean, with that one, it's great. Earnoff is now doing their Rainbow Flag Award.
Yeah.
Which with the Kite Trust, which is really good. Pride, there's a Pride group in there for the kids. We've just been contacted by Long Sands.
Nice.
And Long Sands want to be involved and they want to start doing something. So
we're
we're getting places now. We're very quiet at the moment, but there's things going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So obviously that Stephen's been involved with us, Stephen Ferguson,
Poor you.
Kaz Henderson, Kaz Henderson. There's loads of us. There's lots of us doing it. So it's great.
It's wonderful.
In that respect. And I have to say, another one just recently that I've become involved with now is Square Peg.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Now, Square Peg, I have a real passion for.
Yeah.
And this year, I'm going to go full force with Square Peg to get the education system changed this time. Because I was chatting to Ellie, who is the director. There is 1 million kids struggling at the moment to actually get into school.
Wow.
With their anxiety. 1 million children, young people and children struggling. Now, they work side by side with a social, how do they describe it? A social enterprise called Not Finding School. Now, Not Finding School have a support group on Facebook. There is now 21,000 families on that group who are struggling to get their kids into schools. It could be anything to do with even getting through the door. So we want to get those little signs and things like that, people understanding those signs, if they're not sleeping till late, if they have got that stomach ache or something like that. If we can get the early signs, then maybe Red Balloon of the Air wouldn't have so many ill children. You know, and we wouldn't, CAMS would not be under.
They work on the front end of the challenge.
Yeah. So Square Peg, we want to, actually, they're the only organisation that is trying to action change.
Wow. That's cool.
And there's one director, and that's poor Ellie Costello, and she is working like anything. And she's got kids of her own with complex needs. Yeah. All of us that have gone into it have complex needs. Yeah. So it's
doing wonderful things.
I don't really know what to say about it. There's lots of things we can change when it comes to the education system. There are things like if they're late into school, don't give them a late mark. Find out why they're late. They might be late because they might be a young carer. Yeah. It could be they are just late. I was always late for school. I'm late for everything. Yeah. I'm never on time for anything at all. Yeah. And that's just me. But there's differences that it's just, I can't understand with our education system where there's too much emphasis on discipline. And if you don't do something, it's then punishment. It shouldn't be punishment. Mm-hmm. It should be every behaviour is communication in some sort. And they are saying something. And just because you don't, just because you don't agree with how a young person is talking or a young person has their hair, doesn't mean to say that they're not going through something or that you're right.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's really interesting because you're at the forefront of this locally. I think it's, if we take some inspiration from some of the conversations we've had today around this kind of sector and the understanding and knowing that, or at least I believe, like locally, between us, I mean, quite frankly, between those that have watched this stream today or been involved in this campaign throughout today, we've had just a wonderful amount of engagement of people involved, and I thank everyone for that. These sort of problems just shouldn't exist locally. Like if you just look hyper local and just deal with those two schools, for example, there's enough people here that are passionate about where they come from. Mm-hmm. You know, I said to you, we do our enterprise days around Cambridgeshire.
Yeah.
We've been to Cottenham, and you were going to come to Cottenham, and unfortunately we had to cancel that one. But we've done Sawston, we've done Swavesey, done Saffron Walden, 18 different schools around this county, and Ernelf and Longstands aren't either of them.
Yeah.
You know, well, I don't know. I'm not close enough to it to understand. Why is that?
Because I can't really answer for the academies
Of course
and
not.
those sorts of
But
things.
you have an opinion.
But I do have an opinion. I think they need to be more engaged with the local community, which I'm hoping this year they will be. I've just
nice.
joined the local. So I'm now a parent member of the local committee for and off.
Sweet. Let's do it.
I'm hoping there will be some changes. I expect there to be some changes.
I don't want to push it. I mean, I just fundamentally just feel nowadays, why can't we, let's just, if we can just deal with problems head on, and maybe very optimistic generally in life, but if just bypass it, there's a way. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Like we were talking about, who was it? I don't know who I was speaking to about it. We were talking about Paynes Mill. Saying about Paynes Mill, and I had friends went to Paynes Mill when we were younger. I'm talking 18 years ago, and it was, I don't think it was a great environment for them to come out of their situation. The very fact one of them ended up in prison, it says a lot about that. That's for me. That's an opportunity. If you listen to Concrete Rose, if you listen to Romsey Mill, if you listen to some of these wonderful charities that I know that you're very engaged with too, and I think I saw Rachel Hales on here that will be listening, going yes, yes, yes. That's an opportunity for engagement, an opportunity for us as a community to wrap around and deal with that. I don't see it in the news. I don't see it on social media. I don't see these problems being shouted about on social media. I don't know why not.
Right. So
I don't see any of these challenges.
It's the challenges there are, so when you come into this journey, and it is very much when you first have kids, you expect them to go to school and just get their exams, enjoy the best years of their life. For a lot of kids, that's not the case.
Right.
And then when you come up against that challenge of your child not being able to go in because they're scared to walk through the door, they're scared they might look different, they're scared because they don't know whether someone's going to say something to them or whether they feel they're going to be able to say something and think, well, have I said the right thing? Have I got the right thing have I got the right look on my face? These sorts of things. Is the teacher going to have a go at me? Am I going to be told off because I haven't got the right shoes? What's going to happen if I'm late now? Even if I'm late, I mean, if you're late 10 minutes, so what? Who cares? You're at school. And the reason for that is you get to that point, those kids go through those challenges. When the attendance starts dropping, that's when the schools get in touch with you.
Right.
The attendant, they don't want to find out why the attendance is dropping half the time. They just want to know they want their kid in there. They want that kid in, and that's it.
Comply.
And it doesn't work like that. And thankfully today I was on a 2.5 hour course, I suppose, with it's called, there's a new mental health strategy coming out in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough for children and young people, and it's going to be, as far as I know, I think end of April it's going to be released.
Right.
So there's going to be workshops and things like that involving
in school,
in schools, things like that is going to be implemented. Right. So there's quite a few of us that have been involved in that, and it was good to see people from Romsey Mills on there. Everything, it was really good.
They're good, the right people. That's good.
So it was really good. But what we found out just before the pandemic, there was 34,000 kids with mental illness within this area. Wow. After the pandemic, there's now 41. The long list, waiting lists. It's impossible. What happens to these kids? But you're right. You never see anything around this sort of.
I just don't understand why it doesn't make
it's
it annoys
not
me that
good
it doesn't
publicity.
Of course, it's not good publicity.
So that's why. But there's many groups out there, and
I know there's a lot of work being done. I don't want to dismiss. There's a lot of work being done. I don't want that. Absolutely, I'm not dismissing that. But
you will see this year.
You get a lot of public backing for that sort of thing, I think, in terms of...
You do within certain groups. Yeah, you do within certain groups. So Square Peg is It's a CIC. They're in desperate need of backing. They are in desperate need of funding to get these research things going. There's a research thing going that I joined this week, and it's called the extended. Sorry, I keep looking at my piece of paper because I've got so many acronyms.
Bro, you do your thing. You're much more prepared than I am.
The extended. What's it? I can't find it now. Where am I?
This one, groups, extended non-attendance.
That's it, extended non-attendance at school research group. Now, that goes across the country, and that is being run by, it's got Square Peg in there, and we also have different educational psychologists from different areas.
Nice.
They're all got a toolbox. They're all going to go along different things like that. They're all sharing their ideas. And what we are noticing now is that educational psychologists are actually saying, look, what you want done, how you want to change this system, how this school system is working, is not good for children's mental health. It needs to change. But not only does it need to change for young people and children, it needs to change for families. It needs to change for businesses, because each one of those children has a family behind them. Each one of those families may have jobs. Half the people now, actually more than half, on not finding school, have to give up their jobs so they can look after their children. I had to actually give up my job as well, I could look after my child when he had a breakdown.
And he's been on such a journey since.
So I'm just one person. But what happens with that is, I gave up my job. But if I hadn't given up my job, I was going in late to work. I couldn't keep up with things.
And then suddenly your mental health's deteriorating.
Then my mental health goes down, and you'll find many of the people on our groups, their mental health is at rock bottom because they can't cope.
Bless you.
And there is no support out there, no outward support, I would say, from the government or from anywhere like that for parents of children. It's almost like there's a really good report that was written called, I think it was called something like My Dirty Little Secret. And it's like having a child with a mental illness. It's like you have to be this strong person, be able to go out. But a lot of us, thankfully now I've come through that journey, a lot of us who do have children with mental illness, where it's really, really apparent and debilitating, and the fact that it's a mental illness to the point where they can't walk in a shop. They can't eat something because if they're going to eat something, they think they're going to be poisoned. If they eat something, they think they're going to choke. Things like this. You do not have the capacity to go and look after yourself. You can't, because you're constantly on suicide watch for your own child.
That's just...
and there is no support for you. And the first thing they will do is say, let's put you on a parenting course.
Parenting course?
Yeah, you get referred to parenting courses to say, well, let's look at this. Let's see how you're parenting. Let's change it this way. And it's like, you don't live in the real world. You're not living what these families are living.
And there's so much personal choice in the way that people upbring their kids.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at something, because I'm just seeing comments are flying in here. I just want to check in on everyone. I really appreciate you guys staying with us as well. Hi, Fiona. Linda was making me wonder if you were... Thank you. I love that, Ian. Let's just bring these comments up so people can see them across the platforms. So I truly believe everyone is good at something. You just have to find their strength. Lynette, who was on here earlier, you would get on very well if you don't know Lynette. That she's a phenomenal person. That is brilliant news about Earn Off and Long Stands. Thank you so much for doing that. It's so important. Jackie, great passion. Keep up the great work. It's lovely. Fiona's still here. Thank you, Fiona. You've been absolute rock star for support today. I had to take a bit of time out to take a call from a family member. That was a mental health tick box. Tried to make sure my time on this planet is positive to listen to people that want to talk. That's beautiful. I love that. Have you been on all day? That's brilliant. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, Lynette, my friend is a head in Norfolk, and they are spearheading a more nurture-based model. I'm sure Square Pegs are aware of the model, but if not, I'd be really happy to share her details. I'm sure she'd be happy to share her knowledge.
Yes, please.
That'd be lovely. Yeah. So
definitely.
Connect with you on Facebook after this or something?
Yeah, that's probably the best way. Yeah.
Fine. Perfect. And Fiona, school problems. Oh, my days. We love school generally when we're little. Let's get us back to the social days for schools. Now it has gone towards a much bigger picture. We go to school to learn, and we can, by our community spirit, life skills, not certificates. Interestingly, so I was speaking to Anne Bailey about this. This was not on the call this morning, but I was a part of a forum for a conversation with head teachers around Cambridge, and Anne Bailey was heading up, who's CEO of Form the Future. And we had this conversation around remote learning. How much of the school experience as a percentage is the lesson? Does that make sense? Like, same for university. It's a big problem. Like, how much of that experience is the lesson? Because actually, without the social interaction, without the experience of the discipline of getting ready for things, and that's the lessons for me. That's the real lessons in life from that.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't, if you're just getting the remote education, like my son, Flynn won't mind me sharing, he was studying engineering at Canterbury, so he lives down in Kent. He's 18 now, and he made the decision for himself mid last year that he wanted to drop out of college.
Okay.
Because he was learning engineering on Teams.
Yeah.
Wasn't really learning much. Yeah, it's very difficult to learn engineering on Teams. And I know COVID plays a big part in that.
Yeah.
But he made that decision. And, my response as a father. I have a response and I choose that response. And my response was, well done, you made a decision.
Yeah.
Having any opinion towards the decision he made a decision and went for that. But if he had the social interaction, if he had the positive social interaction, which school can provide for some and for a lot of kids, then maybe he would have enjoyed it and stayed there and gone on to do something.
Yeah. I do agree. I mean, especially with the pandemic, it's funny because we was all there was a big group of us sort of like saying, with the pandemic, remote learning came in and things like this. It's like, this is what we've been doing for years. This is what Red Balloon has been doing this for 10 years. Yeah. Remote learning for 10 years. Red Balloon of the Air for 10 years. Red Balloon Learner Centres 25 years.
Wow.
So
you've been in space for a long time.
It's there, but the problem is school is so insular and so regimented, and when you say people say they're going there to learn, it's like, the thing is, they're not going there to learn. They're going there just to retain information. And just when it comes to an exam, it's just, let's remember this and let's just recite it down. Let's write it down. And it's like, some kids can't cope with that. Some kids can, some can't. So really, for me, the only solution will be is have another type of education as well. Keep the mainstream education, just have another one. I mean, for us, really big for Red Balloon of the Air this year. I can't say too much, but we're hoping to have our own school. Actual physical school.
That's amazing.
For Red Balloon of the Air. And that will be the first time ever. The fact that we have therapists and everyone else to help these kids, we shouldn't be there. We shouldn't have to be there for these kids like that. But the thing is, we are. But thankfully we are.
Absolutely.
But our school system is broken and it needs changing. And people like Square Peg and Ellie, they are the people that are going to change it. And also the ones with lived experience. And also those kids coming up out of that system who have survived are shouting about it. Luke now will tell.
Oh,
He does not care. He
I
will
love
tell
that,
you.
that guy's his passion
And
for this.
there's many kids like that, and they have so they're not maybe academically inclined,
Oh, that's fine.
but
It's not the
you
real
give him
ratio.
a piece of wood to go and do something, you give him a bit of artwork, he can go and do it. And many of these kids, and a lot of the kids that come to us, they're highly intelligent, but they just can't learn the way they want them to learn in a mainstream school. And it doesn't work. So it's broken, and we need to understand there has to be a change.
It's funny. It's interesting because I'll stop rambling and prodding your passion for this in a minute, because I know I'm pushing a little bit, but I just feel like it's such an important subject that needs to be pushed upon, and like we're learning when we're born. Like the moment we leave the womb, we're learning. Literally immediately we start learning. So we always learn. Well, we're all learning now. We're having a wonderful conversation. Everyone's contributing to the conversation. We are learning right now. This is education right now. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. Education is every single day.
It should be accessible. So it is accessible to everyone. It's just unless there's something that changes in that railroad of churn.
Yeah.
For conformity, I suppose, or whatever we want to call it, it's a problem.
We organised a trip to Hamilton Zoo for the kids. Was it Hamilton? No, it wasn't Hamilton. It was somewhere else. Shepworth, that's it. Shepworth Wildlife Park. And that was education. But the education started from the moment they got up that morning. So they got up, they got dressed. They managed to get dressed. Yeah. Some of them went on a train. First time they've been on a train on their own. Yeah, some of them went out the front door.
Learning.
Yeah. That to see a kid go into a shop and buy something on their own when they have not been able to do that for so long is a lesson. It is so nice. They went to the beach this last year. Some kids had never been to the beach. Really? They'd never been in the sea. There's 15-year-olds that hadn't done that. What we're saying is, so when kids, you now can't take kids out of school.
Yeah, no,
during
it's a challenge. Yeah.
So if you've got kids with extreme anxiety, you need to take them out of school during school times for them to have a holiday. But now you can't. Yeah. So they don't get that holiday. They don't get that break at all anymore because you will be fined for it and you can't take that time off. But if you take too many days off sick, they want to know why you're taking those days off sick. The more anxious you get, the more time you take off. If you go I said to him at school actually the other day, if you were in a place of work and you was taking that much time off work, they would want to know how they could help you.
Absolutely. That's a fundamental there. There would be a trigger like that. They're trained.
There's something not quite right there. You need some help.
What can we do to help? What can we do to support? And that's always the message. This isn't like, I'm not, I'm just as passionate about you as this. There are alternative solutions.
Yes.
That's the difference. Like there are alternative solutions.
There's always a route.
There's a lot of people that will just get angry about this sort of stuff and not actually offer any alternative solutions. There are alternative solutions.
Oh yeah.
There are so many different models around this country that show different ways of doing things. Yeah. And most of them are human centric.
We changed our family sort of background when Luke became really, really ill. But I went to the first PDA conference that was held in Northampton quite a few years ago now. So PDA is pathological demand avoidance, part of the autism spectrum. And it's more prevalent than you realise within schools. It's more prevalent if you were to go into, so it's very behaviour, but it's more control. It's anxiety, constant anxiety that you're not in control. So we changed our lifestyle around that. So one day, you will give a choice. If you can't cope with that choice, then that choice has been given, but the parent makes that choice then, but they still know what they're doing.
Right.
The only way I can describe it is by saying to someone, you've dropped that piece of paper on the floor. Can you pick that piece of paper up? You want to get it, but there's something stopping you. There's something stopping you getting that piece of paper. If you pick that piece of paper up, then you start thinking to yourself, have I done that the right way? What happens if I do it again? What happens if I can't do it properly again the next day? What happens if I can't? And then if you put that into school, they go into school, they have a good day. Yeah. They think everything's better. It's all back to normal. The next day, a lot of PDA is very much, oh, but I had that really good day. I know I can't do it anymore. What if I don't live up to those standards? What if I cannot repeat that day again? It's trying to accept, and it's constant control and anxiety, and it turns into a cycle and it never stops. So with PDA, you very much have to, you take every anxiety away that you can. You just strip it completely. And that's when you end up, you will find many of the kids will come out of school then. And the parents will take those kids out of school. But with PDA, you will find many of those kids become entrepreneurs. Yeah. Because they have a very, very different way of looking at things and a very different way of learning.
Which is wonderful, isn't it?
And a very different passion.
You need to find space for them.
I tell you, there's a hell of a lot of them out there. So, yeah, a hell of a lot. And I think this year that I think it's going to be a little bit more.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I'm quite excited. Yeah. There's a lot of support, and there's a way that, there's more force behind going direct.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so for Square Peg, it's like we just need more funding to be able to do our research.
Well, I mean, look, I think a conversation with Lynette should be had, and I'd be more than happy to have a conversation myself.
I do want to ask you something though as well. I'm going to be really cheeky, right?
Go on. So I'm live on Facebook, so yeah. I mean, you couldn't be any more cheeky, but why not?
Anybody within Peterborough, Red Balloon of the Year, we have quite a few students over there now. We're looking for someone who can give us a room or something so we can have a social hub for those students to allow them just to be able to go out of their house or to help them. Anything like that would be amazing.
I wonder if, I don't know if Steve's still here, if Steve Whitney's still here. And he's got, because I know Peterborough Football Club have got the Alia Business Centre that's attached to it. So maybe there's some contacts there.
Anything like that. It's really, we're expanding so quickly.
I've got a few contacts in Peterborough. I'm sure we can find you some space.
I mean, we're down in Brighton now. We've got a place down in Brighton.
But I'll come down come down for a visit for beer. No, but well, look, I just want to say thank you, and I'm really, really excited for.
I hope I didn't bore you too much about education, because I normally do.
No, honestly, and I feel like everyone's still here, so. And okay. I just want to have a look at this because we got some comments in here around this. Let me just see, Fiona. Let's just cover off some of these comments before I've got to swap you in for Stephen. I'd rather keep you.
Stephen's
I'd rather
there,
keep you if I'm honest.
He's in the green room now.
Oh no, I'm sorry, man. Right, let's just have a look here. So everyone's just giving them directions to start with. Children are brilliant. Here we go. Children are brilliant. We love them all. We all see stuff that we would love to fix. I had a brilliant upbringing. Can't fault it. But there is always a but. Went off the rails a bit. No fault of my parents. Got a tale of my own that I could tell. But it made me stronger. I have a phrase when I often use, I can do it myself. I usually can, but sometimes I can't. So if you can't, don't be afraid to say I can't. Yeah. I need some help, please, which is what you've just done.
Exactly.
And you represent that. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And Matt Setchell, please do. If you can reach out, that would be wonderful. If you can put your details in Facebook afterwards, just put it into the chat on this live feed. If you can get in touch, that would be wonderful. Any contacts you can make. Stephanie. Okay, brilliant. Stephanie, so 20 years on, I still suffer with having been labelled with poor attendance at school, had huge mental health repercussions, and fed into the guilt felt as a teenager and adult if off sick. There's some fantastic opportunities with technology nowadays, such as personal class robots. Yeah, I've seen that. That's sick. For remote learning, that I really hope to get the vital funding and recognition needed to implement initiatives for more children needing access. I love Stephanie. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. So I actually joked, funny enough. So I don't know, would Luke be okay with me just to share a little bit about Luke? So Luke has joined our Ignite program, and when I come around to see him, with Dan, who was on here earlier, Dan Jones, I think he's still on here, who's the side hustle king, and someone who I think Luke can learn a lot from. For the way that he lives his life and the opportunities that exist for him through entrepreneurship. And I said to him, because we're going to host it in person, I said, well, that's fine. You got a few months, build yourself a robot and we'll put you on the robot.
Yeah, that's it.
Just basically
that. Do it. Yeah.
And he will. He'll make it. I don't doubt it. He'll make the bloody robot and we'll have him on a robot. You know, why not?
Yeah, well, you want to see what it's making now, I tell you.
I know, it's all over it. Oh, it's amazing, isn't it? Brilliant. Look, I'm just going to finish off these comments because you've really sparked. I'm loving that this has sparked a conversation. I wanted you on here. I told you I've been in a deep thinking mode. I do apologize. I'm not actually making any sense of what I'm saying. I don't think. At least I don't know I don't even know what I'm saying. But I do know that you're an amazing person, and you're sharing. Well, you're sparking a reaction in people, which is what it's all about. Nicola, really positive to hear about the great and important work being done. Excited for the rise of alternatives in addition to the mainstream. I like that. Jacqueline, so this is Christine's mum. So this sounds amazing. School is way too regimented. I like the new options and ideas for learning for all children. They're all different, beautiful souls who have unique skills and gifts to offer and share. Much of what kids learn in school, in my opinion, is useless in later life. Bring back life skills, cooking, nutrition, natural health and fitness, and helping others along with some curriculum subjects, but certainly not just focus on what they do now.
That's right. Life is too fast at the moment, and we're expecting kids to be adults straight away, but we're still treating them as kids.
It's mad, isn't it? It's like, congratulations. It's like, I was joked about it earlier with Flynn, my son. I was like, oh, well done, you're 18, see ya.
Yeah.
It's not like that. Come on now. This has been wonderful. Lynette just backing that up as well. That robots are really big in the disabled community too.
Yeah.
For children who miss school due to disability. And it looks like there's a side conversation around a lot of rum drinking that's going on in the hub. Fergie's obviously arrived.
Rum drinking in there?
Yeah, there's some of that.
Right, I'm off. I see it.
You have been a wonderful guest. I thank you so much for your support. It's been a highlight. Honestly, it's been a highlight meeting you and Luke as a result of that, and the other work that I'm inevitably going to support with pride, because I love what you all stand for and what you're doing. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yes, we're going to get some stuff going for pride.
It's amazing,
definitely,
isn't it?
We need a good party.
We do need a good party. Well, one thing we've toyed. We had Anne Beamish on here from Cambridge Indie earlier.
Yes.
And we've promised to collaborate and do a party. We had Lee Smith on here earlier, who's promised to throw a massive party, and he brings stormtroopers and dinosaurs and all sorts of weird and wacky, wonderful things. So we can do parties. We've got Street Food Fest coming up this year. We're going to be there for that. And Pride are going to be very much involved in that.
We will be there for that.
It's wonderful opportunities everywhere to get people together.
Yeah.
Thank you for your support.
Oh, thank you for letting me come on here and bore you.
Don't ever, you just stop saying that.